Everybody, good morning and happy Saturday. I hope that you had a good week. And today we continue with the grammar lesson, and specifically, we speak about verbs. The website we are using is the British Council website, and I'm going to sneeze. We have, excuse me, we continue little by little on this website, different topics every day. So today is continuing with the topic of verbs, and we did not finish completely yesterday. So today we continue at the section WH questions. That is the plan for today, and hopefully you will enjoy some of the content and we can learn some interesting things together and do some exercises at the same time. So let's begin. I will make this a little shorter, and you can see this is the section we stopped yesterday. WH questions such as what, when, where, which, who, whose, why, and how are usually questions in the category of WH questions. So they are very important because we use them all the time. And now we have some exercises immediately, and they are very well known. Most people know these words already. Most people are very familiar with these words at beginners level English, but also intermediate and advanced as well. So there's no real big explanation at the moment. We just begin the exercises immediately. So let's check and try to do the exercises together. The instruction: use the correct question words to complete the question. So it's necessary just to select the correct word for each sentence. We have the option how, why, when, where, whose, which, who, and how. So the pronunciation is interesting, and it's important to be correct with your pronunciation. So the first question: do you do? How do you do? Why do you do? When do you do? Where do you do? Whose, which, who, how do you do? What do you think? In my opinion, I have an answer already in my mind. Yes, for me, I'm clear with the answer. But what do you think? For me, the correct answer is how do you do? And this is a typical question asking somebody how they are feeling, how everything is going. It's more or less the same as how are you? How do you do? It's definitely a little more formal compared to how are you. Everybody understands how are you, but how do you do is a little bit more formal, and it's a well-known expression as well. There are subtitles available with my video. You can select the subtitles option if you have difficulty or you want to understand my vocabulary word for word. You can select the subtitle option, and also you can ask a question on Facebook Live anytime you want. You can leave a question and comment and say hello. So hello everybody if you're watching in different parts of the world, hopefully live or recorded as well. So please leave a comment and say hello if you wish. Second question: do you live these days? So these days obviously is around now, and the verb is live. So what is the best WH word connected to this question? Why, when, where, whose, which, who, and how? In my mind, I have my answer. What do you think? What is the best answer for you? For me, it's very clear. Live is location. So we say, where do you live these days? Okay, where do you live these days? Next, we have the second part of the question: gave you my address. Address is location, the place where you live. So that's the specific location, again related to address and location. But the key verb here is give. In the past it's irregular. Give in the past is gave. So the subject typically is a person. I give, you give, he gives, she gives. So typically a person gives. Therefore, the best WH word to represent a person is who. Who gave you my address? Which person? Who gave you my address? Okay, and I hope that you have the same understanding as well. I think this is intermediate, but it's very important as well. Next, the second part of the sentence is, does the film start? The film, the movie, and the verb is start. Okay, so again, it's the time, the moment in time that the movie starts, and the best word from here that represents the time something starts is when, in my opinion. I hope that you have the same answer, but for me, it's when does the film start? What time, but generally, when does the movie, when does the film start? Okay, and we have 4 more options, and the last one on the screen here is, are you angry? So the adjective is angry, the verb is to be, the subject is you. The affirmative, you are angry, but the question, are you angry? And the best word here to substitute in this situation is why. What is the reason that you are angry? Why are you angry? Okay, so why are you angry is a perfect option here. I hope you have the same idea as well. Let's continue. We have 3 more. And the question is, do you like your coffee black or white? A black coffee is a coffee with no milk, and a white coffee is a coffee full of milk. So which way do you like your coffee? So the best word here, what do you think? For me, it is how. How do you like your coffee? Because we use this expression with eggs as well, for example, or your breakfast. How do you like your eggs? Do you like your eggs well cooked? Do you like them not very cooked? So it's a very famous expression. How do you like your coffee? And I think that should be the correct answer. How. We have 2 more options, whose and which. Okay, and the number 7 question is, whose actor or which actor played the best James Bond, do you think? So the actor is the person we are looking for, and we are looking specifically for an actor. The question which represents specificness is which actor. This actor, because we have a selection, we say which actor, because there's a selection and you want to choose one of the selection. Therefore, which actor played the best James Bond? And finally, whose photo is this? For possession, when you have a question in relation to possession, the best answer here is, whose photo is this? This photo is mine, the photo is yours, the photo is his, the photos are theirs. So that's the best option here. I think everything is correct. Of course, we might have a couple of errors. Let's check. And 8 from 8, very good. So that's a very interesting exercise to begin today. As I said, if you have a question, please put the question here. And Ploy, good morning. How are you? Thank you for your comment, Ploy, from Thailand. Incredible. So thank you for watching from Thailand. And good morning, everyone. And again, Ploy, if you have any questions yourself, please leave your question. I think you are an English teacher yourself, so thank you so much for connecting, Ploy and Ploy Sapphire, and thank you for watching as well. I hope that you are enjoying and understanding from Thailand. Great. So let's continue a little with the next section, questions with when, where, and why. So first we read the theory, we read the explanation, and try to understand. Grammar is a little difficult sometimes. Grammar requires a lot of attention, a lot of concentration, and it's a little heavy. So I hope that you have patience, and I recommend that you try to study this yourself first or later, and this video maybe will help a little, but it's definitely difficult to study grammar. But let's go today little by little. Okay, so questions with when, where, and why. I'm going to sneeze again. Okay, so we create WH questions with these words by putting the question word in front of a yes, no question. Remember, the question word, who, where, when, why, how, which, whose, they're the question words. And also yesterday, we explained a yes, no question. And to make the yes, no question, generally we change the position. So for example, affirmative. They are working in a shop. Affirmative. Subject is they. The verb is to be and to work in the present continuous. They are working in the present continuous. The location is in a shop. Okay, so they are working in a shop. To create the question yes, no, we can change the position. Are they working in a shop? This becomes a yes, no question because the verb is to be, and it's possible with the verb to be and to have. You remember the explanation yesterday. So therefore the question yes, no is are they working in a shop? However, we can also put the question word in front of this section. So where are they working is the question, and the answer, they are working in a shop, in strong text here. Okay, next. They have been working hard for their exams. The subject is they, the verb is have, the verb is be, the verb is work. 3 verbs. Therefore, this is the present perfect. Have plus the participle is the present perfect or the past perfect plus the gerund. Therefore, it's the present perfect continuous. Very, very advanced concept, very advanced explanation, but this is the present perfect continuous. Hard is an adjective. Hard egg, hard table. It's an adjective, but also adverb. So hard is the adverb. Working hard, working a lot, okay, for their exams. So they have been preparing, they have been working, they have been studying hard in preparation for their exams. The question, yes, no, have they been working hard? Because we changed the position because it's the verb to be. Have they been working hard? Yes, no, yes, no. But it's also possible to put the question word why before the yes, no question. Why have they been working hard? Okay. Interesting. Finally, they arrived at 6. So the subject is they. The verb is to arrive in the past simple. And the time is preposition at 6. No verb to be, no verb to have. So it's not possible to directly change the position to create the question. So we need the question word, when did they arrive? So did is the auxiliary verb we introduce to create the question. This was explained yesterday. So this is a little difficult explanation at the moment, a little difficult, but that is the construction of making questions with where, why, and when. Okay, next, questions with who, what, and which. When we ask who, what, and which about the object of a verb, we put the question word in front of the yes, no question again. Okay, so the affirmative, he is seeing Joe tomorrow. Subject, he. The present continuous is seeing, and Joe is the object tomorrow. So he is meeting Joe, he is having a coffee with Joe tomorrow, he is seeing Joe tomorrow in terms of to meet. And the question word is who is he seeing tomorrow? Okay, it's the verb to be, so we change the position of the subject and the verb. He is seeing, and the question word is who. What person? Who is he seeing tomorrow? Who is he meeting tomorrow? Difficult, a little difficult. Next, affirmative. I want a computer for my birthday. Subject I, verb want, object a computer. When? For my birthday. And you can hear my dog. So if my dog continues, maybe I need to leave for 1 minute to help my dog. But at the moment he's in the garden, the dog, and it's very windy. Okay, so I want a computer for my birthday is the affirmative. The question, what? Specifically, what thing, what object do you want for your birthday? Okay, this is the question. What do you want for your birthday? So it's necessary to introduce what and do. Tricky. Okay, next. I would prefer some tea. I would rather some tea. And the question is, which would you prefer, tea or coffee? Which would you prefer? Even what would you prefer? So it's a WH question at the beginning. Which would you prefer? When you have a specific choice, which? Tea or coffee? Remember the actor for James Bond, you have a selection. Which actor? When you want to select one from a list, we typically use which for the question. Okay, questions, a bit difficult. This is a little tricky. Put the words in the correct order to make questions. So we have a sentence mixed. That parcel you did send where? Okay, so the subject, what is the subject of the sentence? You. What is the object of the sentence? The parcel. You, the parcel. What is the verb of the subject? Send. Send and did. So we have two verbal structures. Did is typically auxiliary to create the past and also the question. So what is the question word? The WH question word is where. So a little clue, a little secret. The first word has the capital letter. So the capital letter is where. Therefore, this is the first word. The last word has the full stop or the exclamation mark or the question mark. So parcel is the last word. The parcel probably is the combination. Subject and verb. So the construction is the auxiliary verb first. Where did you send the parcel? Interesting exercise, good practice. I hope you are able to practice at the same time. It's a good activity to try. Next. You last doing war what night? Okay, so take your time and now you try to complete this exercise. Subject, what is the subject? You. What is the verb? Doing and war doing. So there's two verbal forms. This is probably the continuous. The construction and the formula for the continuous is the auxiliary extra verb to be plus the ing gerund form. So this is probably the past continuous. And the time last night. Question word, WH, what? WH, what? Okay, so again, a secret, a tip. The first word has the capital letter, what? And the last word has the punctuation. So night, the connection with night is last night. And the same, similar formula from before. What did you do last night is the past. No, but it's the past continuous. So the auxiliary, what were, subject, you doing last night? Okay, important. That's the second question. Number 3, internet, you, provider, do, use, which. What is the subject of the sentence? The subject is you. What is the object of the sentence? The object is provider, and probably internet provider, the company, the internet provider. What is the verb? The verb is use and the verb is do. So there's 2 verbs again. And what is the question word? WH, which. Okay, again, the secret, the tip, the first word has the capital letter and the last word has the punctuation. Okay, so which is typically used when we have an option or a selection. Remember, which book do you prefer? Which would you prefer, tea or coffee? When you have a selection. So therefore, we have a selection of internet providers. You have a selection of companies. So I think that's the first part. Which internet provider? Auxiliary, do, you. That's difficult. That's definitely tricky. But I think that's the best format. I think that's the best combination. Let's continue to the next one. Airport, should, the, leave, for, we, when. Whew, that sentence is confusing. So obviously the order is incorrect of this combination. So we need to select the correct order. The secret, the first word has the capital letter, when. The last word has the punctuation, airport. The next, so we need to analyze what is the subject. The subject is we. We is the subject. What is the verb? The verb is leave. And the verb is should. Should is a modal verb for recommendation and advice. So we have 2 verbs. And preposition, for. Article, the. So the is probably connected with the airport. And normally we have the auxiliary verb next. The auxiliary here is a modal, more or less. So when, should, subject, we, next verb, leave, preposition, for. Again, a little difficult, but probably intermediate to advanced English. 2 more. Help, for, ask, we, who, can. Very confusing. Very, very confusing. So the first word is the capital letter, who. The last word is the punctuation, help. The WH word is who, for the person, for the question. The subject is we. Okay, we. The verb is can and the verb is ask, 2 verbs. Can is a modal for ability and permission. It's considered an auxiliary verb in this sentence, so therefore it's normally first. Who can, subject we, ask, preposition typical with ask for. Who can we ask for help? Who can we ask for information, etc., etc. Last exercise. Late, you, work, why, always, are, for. Subject, what is the subject? You. So you is the subject. What is the verb? Work and are. So we have 2 verbs, are, work. Adverb, always. Late, adjective, preposition, for. Question word, why. 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 First letter, first word, capital letter is Y. Last word is work. So my mistake, my error. In this case, work is the noun. So work is possible a verb, I work, but work is also possible a noun. And in this case, it is the noun, the substantive at the end of the sentence. And it's the verb to be. So the rule with the verb to be, we change the position of the subject and the verb. So why are you? Adjective, late. Adverb, always. Position, always late. Why are you always late for work? Interesting. of course, we might have some mistakes. I might have some errors, but let's check the answers and select finish. 6 from 6. Very good. Okay, so let's continue. And again, if you have a question, please put your question here. Let me see. I think we're okay. No questions at the moment, but you're welcome to put a comment in the Facebook chat if you want. Okay. When we ask who, what, and which about the subject of the verb, the question word takes the place of the subject. So previously, we spoke about the object. Now we speak about the subject. Okay, remember here, Barbara is the subject. The verb is to give. In the past, gave. Barbara gave. The object, me, object pronoun, Barbara gave me the chocolates. Okay, so it's the past irregular. Barbara gave me the chocolates. So for the substitution of the WH question word for the subject, we simply substitute Barbara for who. Who gave you the chocolates? Barbara gave me the chocolates. So it's a direct substitution for position. Second, something funny happened. The subject is something. Something funny. The verb is happened. So the direct substitution for the question word is what happened. Something funny happened. What happened? So that's the rule here. For the subject, again, the dog frightened the children. The subject is the dog. The verb is to frighten in the past, ed. The significance is similar to scare, terrify. So the dog terrified the children. The dog frightened the children. The question for the subject, which dog? Which specific dog? This dog, that dog, their dog frightened the children. Okay, not too bad. Let's continue a little. And again, it's difficult sometimes to study grammar, but we continue because it's important. We sometimes use what or which with a noun. What subjects? So the noun is subject, and the question is what subjects did you study in the past at school? What subjects did you study at school? Next, which? Which English newspaper started in 1986? Specifically, which newspaper started, began in 1986? What? Here at the top, what plus the noun. What subjects does everyone have to obligation study? Which, again, which newspaper do you prefer, the Times or the Guardian? Okay, let's try the exercises here. And we need to make 2 questions for each sentence. 2 questions for each sentences. So, Romeo loves Juliet. This is the sentence. Romeo loves Juliet. The question, who for Romeo? Remember, we just substitute the WH word for Romeo, and it's exactly the same for the subject. Who loves? Oh my gosh. Excuse me. Who loves Juliet? Wow. I still have a little of the flu, I think. So that's the first question. Who loves Juliet? Because we're asking for the subject, directly for the subject. Who loves Juliet? The object, who something Romeo love, because it's the question for the object, Juliet, it's different. The question here, what do you think is the correct answer? 2 options. In my mind, I have the answer, yes. And for me, the answer is, who does Romeo love? Okay, so who does Romeo love? That is the question for the object. Okay. Continue to the next one. Sentence. Joan made a delicious chocolate cake yesterday. Joan made a delicious chocolate cake yesterday. Joan is the subject. So for the subject question, we change the position of WH, who, and it's exactly the same. So therefore, who made this delicious chocolate cake? So it's the substitution directly. Joan made this chocolate cake. If we want the question for the object is a delicious chocolate cake. So the verb is make in the past. And to create the question, we add the auxiliary verb. So what do you think is the correct answer here? Okay, for me, it's what did, because it's the past, Joan make for dessert yesterday. Continue. Number 3. My wife is wearing, present continuous, a beautiful blue dress. Object. Subject, my wife. The verb is wearing. Object, a beautiful blue dress. Subject question, my wife. And remember the rule to create the subject question. We put the question word before substituting for the subject, and it's exactly the same. Therefore, the answer is who. What do you think? Who is wearing that beautiful blue dress for the subject question? The object question, what something your wife. Ooh, okay, so it's a bit more difficult. And it's the present, so it's the present continuous. Therefore, I think we need the auxiliary verb do. And the form of do, is it do or does? I think it's the third person. What does your wife wear? I think that could be a mistake, but I think that's the best answer in my opinion. Let's continue. Simone took 2 aspirins for his headache. Simone took 2 aspirins for his headache. The subject is Simone. The verb is take in the past irregular took. 2 aspirins are the objects for his headache. Subject question, who? Who is the substitution for Simone? And it's exactly the same. Who took the last 2 aspirins? And then the second question for the object, what sees Simone for his headache? So this is more difficult. We need the auxiliary verb and the verb in the infinitive. So it's the past. What do you think? What did Simone take for his headache? Okay. And let's continue. So the question here is, I would like a cup of tea. And the subject is who. It's exact substitution. Who. What do you think is the correct answer? Who would like a cup of tea? Okay, I would like a cup of tea. Object question, what something you to drink? And the same verb, would like. And what do you think is the correct answer? For me, what would you like to drink? I think. Okay, so one more. Somebody should tell Maria the bad news. Somebody is the subject. Should is the verb. Modal, advice, recommendation. Tell is the other verb. Maria is the object. The bad news is the object also. Okay, so there's 2 objects. Maria is the direct object and the bad news is the indirect object. Subject question, who is substitution for the subject somebody who. So it's exactly the same. Therefore, what do you think is the correct answer? Who should tell Maria the bad news? And the object question, what something Maria. It's the same, I think. What should we tell Maria? Okay, It's definitely possible we have some errors. Everything 19 from 19. Oh, no, we have 2 mistakes. So what are the errors? That's correct, correct, correct. This is the incorrect one. Okay. Yes, I understand. So the tense is the present continuous. Therefore, the first sentence is the same and the second sentence should be the same. What is your wife wearing is the correct answer. What is your wife wearing? Okay. Not bad. So let's continue. Questions with how. We use how for many different questions. Okay, so again, if you have a question yourself on Facebook, you can put the comment here. I don't see any comments at the moment, so we continue. And how for many different questions. How are you? Very typical. How do you make questions in English? How long have you lived here? How often do you go to the cinema? How frequently? How much money, cost is this dress? How old are you? How many people came to the meeting? So let's try the exercises first. Use the expressions with how to complete the questions. How heavy? How far? How old? How long? How high? How many? How often? First question, Mount Everest, the mountain. It's the altitude. How high is Mount Everest? Have you known each other? To know each other. What do you think is the correct answer? How long have you known each other? Have you traveled today? How heavy, how far, how old, how many, how often? Travel, distance, far. How far have you traveled today? Do you see your children? So the verb is to see your children. Heavy, old, many, often, frequency. How often do you see your children? Okay. Next, times have you seen this film? Specifically, times have you seen this film? How heavy, how old, how many? How many times have you seen this film? 6 times, 7 times, 8 times? Is this suitcase, is it more than 20 kilograms? Kilograms is the measurement, so it's the weight. And the best one is how heavy. How old, how heavy. How heavy is this suitcase? Building, when it was built, how old? Okay, how old was that building? And that's the final question, I think. So they're the question words with how. Finish. 7 from 7. Okay, so we continue. The second part is just a revision. So the second part is not necessary for the moment. Now we move. Give me one moment and I help my dog. We take a little break and I return in one moment. Okay. Now, okay. Okay, so we continue. And sorry for the disturbance and the interruption. So we continue now a little. And the topic is questions with verbs and prepositions. Okay, so specifically questions with verbs and prepositions. When we have a question with a verb and a preposition, the preposition usually comes at the end of the question. For instance, the affirmative, I gave the money to my brother. Subject is I. The verb is give in the past irregular. I gave. The object, the money, the direct object, the money preposition to my brother. So the preposition is to, therefore it's typically at the end of the question. Who did you give the money to? Okay, next, she comes from Madrid. And the question is, the question is, I think that's working now. Oh my goodness. Give me one moment and I fix this camera because it's caught in the cable. Now that's better. So she comes from Madrid. So the preposition is from and the verb is come. Therefore the question is the location. Where? Auxiliary, does she come from? Okay, so where does she come from? She comes from Madrid. So the preposition is possible at the end of the question sentence. Next, they were waiting for an hour. You can hear my dog. I put my dog in the house and he's still barking. They were waiting for an hour. That is the affirmative. The preposition is for. The question is how long, the duration, the time were they waiting for? So the preposition is at the end. How long were they waiting for? Okay, so the preposition is typical at the end of the question. Let's try some exercises and put the words in the correct order to make the question. Is music who by this? What is the subject? The subject is who. The verb is to be, is, and the preposition is by. So the preposition is at the end and the question is at the beginning. The auxiliary or the verb, who is this music by? That's very, very difficult. But this basically means who produces this music, who makes this music, who sings this music, who is this music by? Okay, difficult. Let's continue to the next one. You looking for what are? Preposition for, subject is you, question word what, verb are plus looking, and the question word is at the beginning, what. The auxiliary are, subject you, verb looking, preposition at the end, for what specifically are you looking for. To what you listening are. Subject is you and the verb is listening, and to be are listening, and the question word is what. So what's the best structure here? Question is what, auxiliary are, subject you, verb listening, preposition at the end, what are you listening to? Number 3, they, what, about, were, talking, question word what, preposition about at the end, auxiliary were, subject they, main verb talking about. Okay, what were they talking about? Preposition at the end, question word at the beginning. Next, with, like, to, who, would, sit, you, question word who, subject you, verb sit, would, and like. So we have 3 verbs, would, like, sit, and preposition with and to. It's difficult. So the first word is the question word who. The auxiliary is would, subject is you, main verb like, next verb to, sit, with. So who would you like to sit with? Difficult. Difficult, difficult, difficult. Okay, next. Money you, do, you're, in, keep, what. Okay, so difficult. The question word is WH, what, and the preposition is in, and the preposition is at the end, typically here, and the question word is at the beginning, what. Subject is you, and object is money, and verb is do, keep. Okay, so auxiliary normally is next. What, do, subject you, verb keep, object money, possessive adjective your money in. So what do you keep your money in? Your bag, your wallet, your pocket. Okay, next. Where, get, from, she, idea, her, did. Question word is WH, where. The preposition is from. The subject is she. The verb is get. Object is idea. And the auxiliary is did. Possessive adjective is her. So the first word is where. And from is the preposition last. Auxiliary is did. Subject is she. Verb is get. Idea is the object. And possessive adjective is her idea. Where did she get her idea from? Next. You are afraid what of? Preposition of is at the end. Question word is WH, what, at the beginning. Auxiliary verb is, or the verb are, and we change the position with the subject and the verb. Are you? Adjective, afraid of. Very quick. I hope you understand. Let's check the answers. Everything is good. 8 from 8. So today's lesson's a little difficult. A lot of information today. A lot of information today. But this is typically how to create the question in English. Next, we move to level intermediate. Okay, and other ways of asking questions. First, have you any questions? You can put the comment here, and I see we have 5 comments, so fantastic. Thank you, everybody. So Sunanta, Korea, thank you for your comments, and I'm happy you're interacting. That's perfect. And Crewmam, thank you for joining. Thank you for connecting as well. So fantastic. Let's continue and let's look at the next part of the section. And thank you for watching and commenting. So sometimes use phrases like these in front of to ask a question. For example, do you know? I wonder. Can you tell me? These are typical statements, typical expressions to ask a question. Very typical. Okay. For instance, also for yes, no questions, we use the phrases with if. So for example, affirmative. This is the correct house. This is the right house. This is the correct house. Affirmative. Yes, no question. Change the position. Is this the right house? And the statement, the phrase, do you know if this is the right house? So that's typical way to create the sentence. Do you know if she is hungry? Do you know if they have time? So that's the structure. Do you know if plus the affirmative sentence. Do you know if the bus will arrive? Do you know if the restaurant is open? Okay, next. Everyone will agree. Everyone is the subject. The verb is will agree. The way to ask the question is, I wonder if. So this sentence, this combination is very important. I wonder if. I wonder if. Do you know if? I wonder if. Therefore, the affirmative, everyone will agree. It's the same. I wonder if everyone will agree. I wonder if it will rain. I wonder if you will go. So it's very important. And then the final possibility is, can you tell me if? So there's 3 different ways to ask a question here. Do you know if? I wonder if. Can you tell me if? The affirmative. Mr. Brown lives here. That's the affirmative. Mr. Brown lives here. Question. I wonder if Mr. Brown lives here. Do you know if Mr. Brown lives here? Can you tell me if Mr. Brown lives here? So very good possible alternative ways to ask questions. Okay, next. For WH questions, remember who, which, what, when, where, why, we use the phrases with a question word. Okay, so remember, do you know is a phrase. Do you know, I wonder, can you tell me? They're the phrases with the question word who, how much, where. Also, if. You remember, do you know if, I wonder if, can you tell me if, but it's also possible with the WH words. So do you know who lives here? Do you know who is going to the party? I wonder how much this dress is. I wonder how much is the coffee, etc., etc. And finally, can you tell me where she comes from? So for me, the important structure is, can you tell me? I wonder, do you know? Okay. Often, frequently, we use do you think after the question words. How much do you think this dress is? Where do you think she comes from? Who do you think lives here? Okay, it's a little difficult. Let's try the questions. And here we have the same instruction. Put the words in the correct order to make the indirect question. So if, Nick, office, you, do, know, the, in, is. Very, very difficult. So we need to create the question. Normally, the last word has the punctuation. Office is the last word. And the first word has the capital letter. Maybe Nick or maybe do. Okay, subject, you or Nick, two possible subjects. The verb is know. And the is the article for the object. So the office. And the preposition for the office is in the office. So this is a little help, a little clue, little by little. Now we know, let's try the subject. Do you know the verb? If, remember that's the combination. I wonder if, can you tell me if, do you know if, Nick, verb, is in the office. Okay. Next. Goes, that, I, where, wonder, road. So you remember the phrase, I wonder. Okay, and that's the beginning of the sentence. I wonder. Goes is at the end because of the full stop. I wonder. Remember the phrase plus the WH word. I wonder when, I wonder how, I wonder where that road goes. Next. This, what, me, can, word, you, means, tell. Wow, very complicated, very confusing. So the last word is means. The first word is can. Subject, you. Object, me. Verb, tell. This is a demonstrative, and therefore can is the auxiliary or the modal. Next is the subject, can you, plus the verb, tell. Tell has the direct or the object pronoun, tell me. And that is the structure, can you tell me, plus the WH word, can you tell me what this word means. Tricky, very, very tricky, but important. Let's continue. Oof, this is a long, long, long sentence. If, can, tell, here, near, is, at, three, there, chemists, you, me. Wow. Okay, so very, very long. First, the verb. Can is a verb, tell is a verb, is a verb. Three verbs. Subject, you. Object, me. Chemists, another object. What's this phrase? Remember, can you tell me? That's the combination. That's the typical combination. Can you tell me? So I think that's the beginning. Can you tell me if? That's the structure, if you remember. Can you tell me if? Now, the affirmative, what is the affirmative? We need a subject, and the subject is chemists or their. Verb is object, chemists, a chemist. Preposition, near, location, here. Very difficult, but very important. Can you tell me if there is a chemist's near here? Chemists is a place where you buy medicine. Next. I wonder some snow we get tomorrow will if. Subject I, verb wonder, get will. Phrase, what is the phrase? I wonder. I wonder if, that's the phrase. So I think that's the beginning. I wonder if. Subject we, verb will get, future. Snow tomorrow, some snow tomorrow. Okay, I think that's the best answer in my opinion. I hope you maybe have the same answer. Okay, so I hope you can interact with this at the same time. Next. Do, back, time, be, what, no, will, you, she. Okay, the subject, what is the subject? You or she? We have two possible subjects. What is the auxiliary? The auxiliary is do, and the verb is will, back. So it's very, very difficult. What do you think is the correct structure here? What do you think? For me, the first word is the capital letter, do. For me, the last word is the punctuation. After the auxiliary, we have the subject. What is the subject? She, but she is does she, so do you. Verb, what is the verb? Do you know? Question word, do you know what? Time, do you know what time? Perfect. I wonder what time. Can you tell me what time? She, subject, verb will be back. Okay, difficult. Next. You think, do, will, be, they, long, how. The question word, how long. Okay. And do you think is a combination. Do you think? And subject is they. So let's begin with how long. How long? Auxiliary, do, you, verb, sorry, subject you, verb think, subject they. Will be very, very difficult, very advanced, I think. And good luck trying to do that. Last question. Do, nobody, house, bought, has, why, think, this, you. Question word, WH, why. Subject, you or nobody. Object, house, verb, buy or bought in the past, plus the auxiliary do, plus has, plus think. We have 4 possible verbs. Do, has, think, bought. Very difficult. But the structure, the structure is do you think? That's the typical structure. Can you tell me? Do you think? So I think the first word is why. Do you think? Subject, nobody. Verb, have and buy. So this is the present perfect. The first verb is the auxiliary. Has bought this house. Why do you think nobody has bought this house? Finish. We could have mistakes, but let's check the answers. Very good. 8 from 8. Excellent. So today, a lot of exercises today, a lot of information, a lot of lessons. It's necessary for you to review this page because today it's a lot of information. Let's continue. I think this is the last part. Negatives with the to infinitive. When we make a negative with the to infinitive, we put not in front of the to infinitive. For example, he told us, subject, he, verb tell in the past, told, object, pronoun, he told us, not to make a lot of noise. So he told us not to make so much noise. Second, we were asked, this is the passive, subject, verb, participle, but this is considered a passive. We were asked not before the infinitive, not to park in front of the house. Okay, excellent. So today's lesson is very, very heavy. We had a lot of topics, negatives with the two infinitive. We had other ways of asking questions. Do you wonder? I wonder. Do you know? Can you tell me? We had questions with the verbs and the preposition at the end. Also, we spoke about questions with how often, how many, how much. We also spoke about this section here, questions with who, what, and which. Also, we spoke about questions with when, where, and why. Also, we began with just WH questions. So this is the first part of today, and we continue to the end. And it's perfect time because it's 1 hour, and it feels like it was 6 hours. The lesson feels very, very long because it was very heavy. And grammar, always, grammar is very heavy. It's always difficult because you need to read the theory, and it's difficult always. So that's today, 1 hour lesson, but very, very good. And I hope you enjoyed. The website is very good. It's the British Council. Learn English on the British Council website. I highly recommend the website. And little by little, we will do different topics. So tomorrow, we move to the next section of short forms. So last week, we did verb phrases, irregular verbs, questions, and negatives. And Monday, we move to short forms. So we have a lot of content in relation to verbs. And Monday, we do short forms. The verb to be, present tense, past tense, perfect tense, continuous, modal, active, passive, infinitive, ing, present, past, future, hypothetical, conditional. So we have a lot of important lessons coming. And remember, this website is the British Council Learn English. So if you want to prepare, if you want to study, I recommend you check this website and check this information before my lessons next week to help you. Great. If you have a question, please put your questions here. And Sunyata, so thank you so much, Sunyata Korea. Thank you for your interaction. And Waniba, thank you, Waniba Senbat, for your comments as well. Good morning. I hope that you are having a very good day, and thank you for connecting, everybody. And Aseka, sorry for putting the information there. Aseka, good morning. I hope that you're having a good day as well. And who is this Sonata? That's everybody. And oh my God, sorry for I don't want to put information on the internet. So let's continue. Thank you everybody for connecting. The internet looks terrible. The internet connection looks terrible. I hope the connection is okay. So you can tell me if the connection is okay. That information looked very bad with the red. Anyway, that's everything. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your participation. Everything is free. Everything is free, but if you want to support me, if you want to make a donation, you can make a donation here, a voluntary subscription to help me. At the moment, I'm looking for businesses, companies, maybe organizations, charities to support this project, to support me, but also the students can support me if you want as well, because of course I need to cover my expenses, and this is a way to do it. You can do it through the bank or with PayPal. The information is on my Facebook page, and you can donate euro, baht, whatever money or currency in different parts of the world is possible as well. Also, any questions, any comments, you can ask a question on WhatsApp. Here is all the information, and you're welcome to ask a question or ask anything about the classes or the lessons on WhatsApp. Great. So thank you so much. I hope that you had a very good weekend. Thank you for connecting, and enjoy your weekend. So I'll just check finally if there's any last. And yes, Aseka. Okay, so the next lesson, Aseka, is Monday, and Monday morning at 9 o'clock, Aseka, is the next lesson. So probably every morning at 9 o'clock is the schedule, the timetable. And tomorrow I put the information on Facebook. Tomorrow I post the timetable, I post the schedule tomorrow on Facebook. But the plan is Monday morning at 9 o'clock. At the moment it's 10 o'clock in Ireland. So obviously different parts of the world is different times as well. In Thailand, for example, if you're in Thailand. And Juanita, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your comment as well. So any questions, you're welcome to put the question and tell me if the connection is okay, because the connection looks terrible on the information. Look, this connection looks really bad. So you can tell me if the connection is good or the connection is bad. I don't know. Great. So thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Enjoy, and hopefully see you on Monday. And also tomorrow I post my information on Facebook, the timetable. Thank you and have a great weekend, and talk to you soon.